Alright, just to warn you all, I look like absolute crap today. This is the hair I woke up with, didn't do anything. So, anyway, had a doctor's appointment, got put back on my Adderall, so this place might actually get clean now. I can actually like focus on it and stuff. Anyway, so the past few days have been not really bad, but annoying, if you can figure. Just, I guess I have a sign on me that says like get on my nerves or something, because just people have been complete jackasses the past 2 days to me for whatever reason. It all started, I was sitting out on my front porch. I think I was calling my dad or something, and the man across the street decides to come over, and he just like comes over and he's like, hey, can you move your car? Well, I mean, I was parked in front of his house, even though it's a public street and we're not allowed to park on our side of the street. But I was like, yeah, okay, that's fine, I'll move it. So I go over and move it, thinking that he's gonna like water his yard or something. I mean, he wasn't rude about it at the time, but thinking he was gonna water his yard. And so I moved my car, even though I had to move it again because JK had to get out, and that was really annoying. But I didn't think much of it. But then, like, the more I thought about it, I was like, it's a public street. He didn't water his yard. He had no reason to ask me. Like, we weren't bothering him. He could get in and out of his driveway. The only thing that should bother him is he looks out his door and my car's in front of his house. Big freaking deal. A lot of people have to do that. Um, but what did bother me was the other day I was out with Gavin playing in the front yard, and we were waiting. I don't know where we were going. I think we were just gonna go out to eat or something, and we had to switch our cars around. Anyway, so he's outside, and I get in my car, get Gavin ready and stuff, and JK and I had to switch cars, and I hear him yelling like, "If I see that car parked in front of my house, it won't be here when you come back." And no, 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 no. And I was just like, okay, dude, seriously, like that's not necessary. And then like he's just saying every cuss word in the book at me, and by this guy that like drives down the road, he's like, you need to slow down. Like, are you the neighborhood cops? I don't think so. So get over it. Really? Like, you have nothing better to do with your life? I guess not, because all he does is stare out his window at my house to make sure that I'm not going to park in front of his freaking house. I'm good. Anyway, so that really got on my nerves. The other neighbors I have are actually pretty cool, but that one, for whatever reason, just is an ass, and I don't like him. I hope they move really soon because it's not gonna fly with me. Let's see. Then yesterday, I had really bad cramps. Like, I know that might be TMI, but it's really not. Um, and I've been having them for like a week. And yesterday, I could not move. Like, I literally laid on the floor, and if I had to get Gavin, I would just like reach out and grab him, and that was about it. Like, I couldn't do anything. It hurt so so bad. So finally, I decided to go to the ER, and I waited and waited and waited and waited, and they kept calling people like ahead of me that were up going to the vending machines and just up joking around and stuff like that. And I'm sitting there like doubled over in pain the whole time, like like this. And they have the audacity to tell me that their cases were more severe than mine. And I'm like, okay, well, I had to make a valiant effort to come even tell you that, like I've been waiting for 5 hours and sitting in that chair for 5 hours. And you're going to tell me that they're more severe than me when they're obviously okay enough to go find the, like the dining room, and they're okay enough to talk on their phones and joke with their friends and stuff like that. That is no bueno, sorry. Anyway, so I finally get called back and wait for another 4 hours, half of it with a freaking like just gown on. So I'm sitting there like nothing under this gown, just, hey, I'm freezing, I'm here. And they come in, and like the nurse doesn't even know how to move the bed. And like the guy didn't even test me. He was like, "Oh, you're having cramps really bad. I think you're having a miscarriage." Like, he told me that like he bought coffee that day. Like, "Oh, I went to Starbucks and got a latte. You're having a miscarriage." Yeah, thanks, dude. Thank you. So I was like, "Well, I don't think I'm even pregnant." So finally he was like, "Oh, well, here, go pee in a cup." So I had to pee in my cup and like walk it across the waiting room full of people that are all like, yeah, I definitely stuck that bitch in my purse. I'm not gonna lie. So I give him that, and he's like, oh, you just have a UTI, no big deal. So you're gonna tell me that I was pregnant and I was gonna lose my baby, but it's a UTI, really? Like, you might want to check that. Just saying. And then there's this like enormous fat girl. Like, she was seriously 13 or 14 years old, sitting behind me in the waiting room, and she begged her mom to go to the vending machine. Finally, her mom like gave her some change. She gave her like, I don't know, like her whole bag of change, and was like, "Don't spend it all." Well, homegirl spends it all. So she comes back with like 4 bags of chips and scarfs down like 2 of them and gave one to her mom and one to her grandma. And then I got the joy of sitting with them in the actual like hospital area. And I hear her, "Mom, I'm hungry. I need more chips." And her mom was like, you complain about being fat, but you eat all the time. She's like, "You just had chips 30 minutes ago." And she like just like Gavin, she like, I could hear her throwing herself down and just like having a fit. And I was like, okay, girl, don't talk about being fat if you're not going to take care of it. Secondly, how old are you? Really? Like, I think you should be like, okay, that's cool. You're almost to the point where you could go get a job and buy your own chips and support your habit. And then she's like, I'm having withdrawals. All right, withdrawals from food you ate 30 minutes ago. Come on. If it's a drug, you need to go to rehab. I'm just saying. But I tweet about this, and a certain someone, I'm not going to say any names, is getting all like defensive and like, you don't know what that person's life is like. Okay, if I saw a fat person walking down the street, it might cross my mind like, oh, they're fat, but I'm not going to sit there and blast them for no reason. This is totally different. It pissed me off because she's sitting there throwing a tantrum, and I can't stand that. Like, I discipline Gavin when he's throwing a tantrum, and he's 1.5. Like, discipline your kids, first of all. You should not be acting that way. I didn't act that way when I was 8, let alone 13, 14. Like, I heard him talking about her going into high school this year. That is ridiculous. I'm sorry. You're almost old enough to drive. You're almost old enough to get a job. You're old enough to sit in a hospital and not have to eat every 5 minutes. So, yeah. Secondly, she's whining about being fat. So, okay, if you're whining about being fat, but you're still doing it and you're still eating that much and you're like aware of it, obviously you're not very concerned about it. So obviously you don't care what other people think. So yeah, then I'm going to judge you. Sorry, I'm not sorry. I'm just saying. But, like, I wanted to be like the typical, well, if you don't like my tweets, then don't read them. But, I think that this person is definitely smart enough to figure that out. I'm not holding it against them, but I just wanted to clarify like where I'm coming from, because that's kind of legit in my opinion. Like, if you're gonna, that's like being a cross dresser. If you're gonna sit there and be a man and you're like 6 feet tall and have muscles and you're wearing stiletto heels out and expect people not to stare at you, then you're sadly mistaken. That's all I have to say on that. Anyway, so finally I get seated and I'm in my hospital bed, lay my purse down and pick it up, and there's something red on the side. So I look down on the floor. There's blood everywhere, like splatters of blood. I'm like, okay, let me just tell you the sanitation issues that I have with this. Seriously, like, I don't want to get HIV from my purse. Plus, like, I ruin my purses anyway, but it's still, like, a Coach is not a cheap purse, and that's what I was carrying, was a Coach. And I lay it down. I don't want to clean that shit up. I don't even want to, like, clean it. I just want to throw this bag away now, but JK won't let me, of course. So anyway, that's the end of my hospital rant. Like I said, I went to the doctor. Gavin threw a fit the whole time. Like, they probably think that I'm one of those parents. Like, that's what I'm worried about, is that they're going to think, like, oh, you don't discipline your kid. Well, he is 1.5. Like, I told him what happened was he took my phone and, like, he'll play his game on it or whatever for like 2 seconds and then change it and call somebody or text somebody or update my Facebook or do stuff he's not supposed to. So I took it away and I said, okay, don't do that again. So he does it again. Then he starts throwing it onto the floor. And I'm like, an iPhone retail is like $900. I'm not going to buy another iPhone. And I like my iPhone, so I'd like to keep it intact. Thank you. But of course, he throws it again and again. So finally, I say, okay, if you throw it again, it's getting taken away. He throws it again. So I take it away. And then that's when the tantrum starts. And it's a catch-22 with people, because either you aren't disciplining your kid or you're abusing them. So, I mean, I took it away and he starts just, like flailing around, throwing himself down on the couch and just freaking out. And people are staring at me and I'm just like, I'm not ignoring him. I'm like, you better stop. You better stop. We're not going to go play. I'm going to take this away from you. But, um, they're staring at me like I'm not doing anything. And I'm like, what can be done? Really? I'm not going to give him my phone back just to make you happy. That's not going to teach him anything. And honestly, I'm more concerned about my kid than you and your happiness in this doctor's office. So when he's 5 or 6 having this issue, then we can talk. But he's 1. He doesn't understand. But anyway, I think that's enough of a rant for now. So I'm going to go. Hope you liked it. Bye-bye.